The cargo ship moved slowly through the dark space between stars. It was small and old, painted in dull gray with many scratches on its sides. It carried food packs, tools, and simple machines for trade. It was not a warship. It had no big guns or heavy shields. It was the kind of ship that most people ignored. Inside the ship, the crew worked in silence. The engines made a soft hum. Lights flickered now and then. Everything felt normal. The crew had only 8 people. They were traders, mechanics, and drivers. Ordinary workers trying to earn money on long routes. Among them was one quiet man named Jack. He was not the captain. He was not the engineer. He had no special rank. He simply helped with cargo and repairs. He spoke little and listened more. Most days he sat alone, cleaning tools or checking old equipment. People often forgot he was there. Jack liked it that way. The ship crossed into a new star system. The stars looked pale and cold. A blue gas giant turned slowly far away. A ring of broken rocks floated like dust around it. The captain checked the map again. There should have been an empty trade lane, but the radar suddenly flashed red. 1 signal, then 3, then 20. Large objects appeared from behind the gas giant. Long shapes, black and sharp like knives. Warships. The captain felt his throat go dry. These were not human ships. They belonged to the Karth Dominion. Everyone in the outer colonies knew that name. The Dominion controlled hundreds of systems. Their armies were famous for perfect order. Their fleets never lost. Their soldiers trained from birth. They followed strict combat rules called Doctrine. Every move was planned. Every battle was math. No mistakes, no chaos. And they did not like strangers in their space. The radio came alive with harsh tones. Then a translated voice spoke in broken human language. Identify, power down, do not resist. The captain raised his hands even though no one could see him. He cut the engines. The cargo ship drifted like a leaf. Jack stood near the wall, calm. He looked at the screen without emotion. His eyes moved slowly, studying the alien ships. They were large and clean, with bright lines of light running across their hulls. Everything about them looked precise. Perfect. Too perfect. A shuttle detached from the nearest warship and flew toward the cargo ship. It locked onto the airlock with a hard metal sound. The crew waited. No one spoke. The door opened. Tall figures stepped inside. The aliens were bigger than humans. Their bodies were covered in dark armor plates that looked grown, not built. Their helmets were smooth and narrow. Blue lights shone where their eyes should be. Each one carried a long energy rifle. They moved together, every step the same distance, every turn at the same time. Like machines, one of them pointed the rifle. Kneel. The crew obeyed. Jack knelt too. His face stayed calm. The aliens scanned them with red beams. A small device hummed near each person's chest. No heavy weapons, no implants, no combat armor, just traders. The lead alien made a sharp clicking sound. Detain. Transfer to station. The humans were tied with light cuffs and pushed toward the shuttle. As Jack stepped forward, one alien bumped his shoulder hard, trying to show strength. Jack did not react. He simply walked. The shuttle carried them across space to a massive station orbiting the gas giant. It looked like a black ring with many spikes. Lights moved along its surface like veins. It was too large to be called a ship. It was a fortress. The humans were taken inside long metal halls. The air smelled cold and dry. White lights shone from the ceiling. Everything looked clean and sharp. Other alien soldiers marched past in perfect lines. No one spoke. No one laughed. Only footsteps and machine sounds. The crew was pushed into a holding room with smooth walls. A field of blue light blocked the exit. The door sealed with a hiss. For a moment, no one moved. Then the youngest crew member began to shake. "What are they going to do to us?" he whispered. The captain tried to sound strong. "Maybe fine us, maybe send us away. Stay calm." But his voice was weak. Jack sat down against the wall. He closed his eyes like he was resting. Hours passed. Through the small window, they could see soldiers training in a large chamber. Groups of aliens moved in patterns. They formed shapes, broke apart, then formed again. Every move matched the others. Even their shooting drills were perfect. All rifles fired at the same time. All shots hit the same spot. The crew watched in silence. "They fight like robots," someone said. Jack opened his eyes and studied them carefully. He watched their timing. 3 steps, stop, turn, fire. 3 steps, stop, turn, fire. Always the same, always exact. Later, 2 guards entered the cell. They carried tablets with glowing screens. The translator device spoke again. "You will be used for field exercise. Non-combat species. Low threat. Acceptable losses." The meaning was simple. They were not prisoners, they were targets. Fear filled the room. One woman began to cry. The captain argued, but the guards ignored him. Jack stayed quiet. His eyes moved slowly around the room, checking corners, vents, cameras, door seams. He noticed everything. When the guards left, the crew gathered close. "We can't fight them," the captain said. "They have armor and rifles." "We'll die," someone whispered. Jack finally spoke, soft and calm. "Not all of us," he said. They looked at him. It was rare for him to talk. "What do you mean?" the captain asked. Jack shrugged slightly. "Wait, watch, follow orders when I say." The others stared, confused. He did not explain more. Later, the lights dimmed to night mode. Most of the crew tried to sleep. Jack stayed awake. When no one watched, he pulled something small from inside his boot. A thin metal key. Old-fashioned, not electronic. He had hidden it years ago and never removed it. He tested the cuffs quietly. Click. They opened. He kept them loose around his wrists so cameras would not notice. Then he lay back down and closed his eyes again. Somewhere outside, a siren sounded for shift change. New guards marched by. Their steps matched like a drumbeat. Jack counted the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, turn. 1, 2, 3, turn. A small smile touched his face for the first time. Patterns, too many patterns. He liked enemies who followed patterns. They were easier to break. Morning came. The blue barrier flickered as the door opened. Guards entered to take them to the training zone. The crew lined up, scared and tired. Jack stood at the back. As they walked through the corridor, the guards kept perfect distance between each other. No one checked behind twice. No one expected trouble. Because Doctrine said prisoners were weak. Doctrine said primitives could not fight. Doctrine said old weapons were useless. Jack lowered his eyes and walked quietly. Under his jacket, hidden against his back, were 2 heavy shapes wrapped in cloth. Cold metal. Very old. Very simple. Revolvers. No power cells. No signals. No scanners could see them, just steel, springs, and bullets. The kind of weapons history books forgot. He had carried them for many years. He hoped he would never need them again. But today felt like one of those days. The group turned a corner into a darker hallway. Only one camera watched this section. Jack glanced up once, timed the sweep. 3 seconds left. He exhaled slowly. The camera turned away. His cuffs slipped free. His hands moved toward his back. The cloth fell open. Metal touched his palms. The weight felt familiar, comforting. Ahead, the guards marched on, unaware. The corridor lights flickered for a brief second. No one noticed. Then a soft sound echoed in the hall, not a laser, not an energy blast. Just a sharp crack like thunder in a small room. One guard dropped, then another. Smoke curled in the air. Jack stepped forward, both revolvers raised, eyes calm and steady. For the first time since capture, he did not look like a simple cargo worker. He looked like something else entirely. The smoke filled the corridor and the red lights blinked as alarms screamed. Jack's hands were steady, holding the 2 revolvers. Each shot was precise. No panic, no wasted motion. He moved slowly but with purpose, stepping around the bodies of the fallen guards. The hall was narrow, but he used it to his advantage, forcing the remaining soldiers to funnel into his line of fire. The other crew members watched from behind a large metal crate, frozen in fear. They had never seen anything like this. Simple humans, small guns but deadly. Jack's eyes never left the approaching soldiers. He knew their doctrine, he had studied them. They always advanced in groups, always covered each other, always counted steps. Jack took a breath and fired again. One soldier fell, another staggered back, and the rest hesitated. Hesitation was all he needed. Down the corridor, more alarms triggered. The entire station seemed to awaken. Doors locked automatically. Drones hovered in the air, scanning for movement. Jack moved with calm precision, checking every shadow, every vent, every corner. He was not fast. He was exact. The crew finally moved carefully, one by one, following his quiet signals. They were no longer prisoners. They were moving toward escape, but under his command. Jack had planned their path in minutes. It was simple, yet it worked. He used walls, crates, and broken panels as cover. Every shot was timed, every step considered. In the central chamber, the commander of the station watched the screens. He had never seen such chaos. The doctrine said humans were weak. They were simple. They could not fight in proper formation. Yet one human had already destroyed an entire squad. He did not understand. He leaned forward, tapping his claw-like fingers on the console. The station's automated response systems activated, trying to contain the human. Energy barriers raised, doors sealed. Drones swarmed in patterns. Soldiers advanced. But Jack adapted with ease. He did not run. He walked, crouched, and moved with calculated calm. Every attack he faced was met not with raw strength but with strategy. He understood timing and prediction. He exploited it. At one point he found himself cornered. A squad of elite soldiers with heavy armor surrounded him. They moved in perfect synchronization, rifles pointed, shields raised. Jack took a breath, slid a revolver from his side, and aimed at the nearest soldier. The gunshot echoed in the metal hall. One fell. The others flinched. Doctrine failed. Fear had begun to seep in. He did not pause. The second revolver came up. Another shot. Another soldier down. The remaining soldiers shifted positions, unsure. Their training did not account for a human who could strike without warning and without logic. Meanwhile, the freed prisoners made progress toward the hangar. Jack had given them simple instructions. Stay low, move together, trust each other. Some stumbled, some froze, but his calm presence gave them courage. They carried whatever small weapons they could find, simple tools and maintenance tools, anything that could help them survive. They were slow but determined. Back in the corridor, Jack noticed a small vent leading to a maintenance tunnel. He signaled the crew to follow. They moved silently through the narrow passage, the smell of metal and oil thick in the air. Every sound they made seemed to echo like thunder. They reached a junction and waited. The elite squad was still searching, their scanners trying to detect anomalies. Jack knew they would not understand the human mind. They were trained to expect formation and strategy based on doctrine, not creativity and unpredictability. He led the crew through the maintenance tunnels, carefully choosing each path, each opening. At times he would stop and listen. At times he would fire a single shot to mislead the aliens, drawing them away from the escape path. His mind was calm, his actions precise. The crew began to trust him. Fear still lingered, but hope grew. In the command center, the commander was growing desperate. His doctrine had failed. He had never encountered a human who could move without pattern, who could think beyond rules. The computer suggested reinforcements. Dozens of soldiers could be deployed at once. But the commander hesitated. Fear was a strange new sensation. Jack reached a junction where the tunnels split. He paused, listening to the soft hum of the station and the heavy footsteps of soldiers searching above. He made a choice. He led the crew toward a cargo bay, a place he had seen on the monitors earlier. It was large, dark, and filled with containers, perfect for ambush and escape. As they moved, drones detected movement. Red lights flashed. One drone hovered low, its sensors scanning. Jack did not panic. He raised his revolvers, fired 2 precise shots, and the drone fell. Smoke curled from its damaged casing. The crew gasped. They had never seen someone move like this, not even in their dreams. They reached the cargo bay, and Jack quickly checked exits, cover, and angles. He motioned the crew to stay low and quiet. They hid behind containers and waited. The elite squad arrived moments later. They were confident, disciplined, and deadly. Doctrine had told them they could handle humans. They were wrong. Jack stepped into the open, revolvers in hand. He fired. 1, 2, 3 shots rang out, each finding a target. Soldiers fell, formation broke. The elite squad hesitated, then retreated to regroup. Jack moved among them with calm efficiency, forcing them back step by step. The crew slowly followed him, carrying tools and supplies that could serve as weapons or distractions. Every movement was planned. Every sound was controlled. The station's alarms blared, red lights flashing across the metal walls. Jack did not flinch. Finally, they reached the hangar. A stolen shuttle waited, small and old but capable. Jack led them aboard. He quickly started the engines. Alarms in the station reached a high pitch. Soldiers ran, drones swarmed, but it was too late. The human ingenuity, calmness, and understanding of patterns had won. The shuttle lifted off, moving toward open space. From the station, the commander watched helplessly. His doctrine had failed. One human had outsmarted a trained military force. His soldiers had been defeated. His patterns broken. His logic could not account for unpredictability and courage combined. Jack piloted the shuttle through asteroid fields and debris, careful yet confident. The crew whispered their thanks and fear. They were alive because of one man's calm mind and precise actions. They began to believe that humans were not as weak as the Dominion believed. As they escaped, Jack looked back at the black station, shrinking into the distance. Smoke rose from damaged corridors, alarms echoed, but the humans were gone. One quiet man with old weapons had shown the Dominion that not all battles could be calculated. He kept the revolvers ready, eyes sharp, mind calm. The stars ahead were dark and full of unknown dangers, but he felt ready. Doctrine had failed once. It could fail again. The stolen shuttle moved through space with quiet precision. Jack kept the controls steady, eyes scanning the starfield ahead. The crew sat behind him, still shaken but slowly regaining their courage. Every shadow, every blinking light on the console, every distant star was observed. Jack did not speak. He did not need to. His calm presence was enough. The alien forces on the station were in chaos. Without their doctrine guiding them, soldiers argued over commands. Elite squads hesitated. Machines waited for human input that would not come. The commander was furious, unable to impose order. He studied the recordings of Jack's attack over and over. How could one human with old weapons defeat trained soldiers in perfect formation? It made no sense. Jack knew the aliens would pursue. The Dominion did not forgive mistakes. He also knew that thinking ahead was critical. He studied nearby systems, calculating safe routes, fuel limitations, and likely intercept paths. His mind moved fast, but his body remained calm. The crew began to ask questions, whispering among themselves. How had he learned to fight like that? How could he move through such dangerous halls alone? Jack answered only in simple words: observe, wait, strike. They nodded, understanding at least that they were to follow his lead and trust his instincts. Fear was still heavy, but courage was growing. Far behind them, Dominion ships moved to intercept. Sleek warships split into 2 groups, scanning for the human vessel. Drones streamed from the station, searching for movement. Doctrine demanded order, formation, and caution, but Doctrine could not account for Jack. The shuttle dodged debris, moving unpredictably. Jack used small gravitational pockets and asteroid fields to mask their trajectory. He fired warning shots from his revolvers to distract pursuing drones, creating confusion. Every action was simple, yet effective. The Dominion forces had no model for it. They could not predict his movements. On board the shuttle, the crew worked in tandem. One monitored fuel, another tracked navigation. They followed Jack's subtle gestures. The youngest crew member, usually timid, moved containers to shield their sensors. A quiet mechanic handed Jack tools when requested. Teamwork flowed naturally under his calm guidance. Suddenly, a message appeared on the shuttle console, a Dominion transmission. It demanded surrender. Their tone was harsh, threatening. Jack did not respond. He closed the console and focused on the path ahead. Words could not stop them, only action. The pursuing ships approached. Lasers cut through space. One near miss sent the shuttle spinning slightly. Jack corrected immediately. The revolvers at his side were ready, though useless at this distance. But they served as a reminder to himself and the crew that even the simplest weapons could change outcomes at the right moment. Jack calculated a risky move. He veered toward a dense asteroid belt. Sensors showed gaps just wide enough for the shuttle to pass. The pursuing ships were larger, less maneuverable. Doctrine told them to maintain formation, but formation now became a disadvantage. They struggled to navigate the rocks. Collisions occurred. One cruiser was forced to break formation and take evasive action. Jack pressed forward calmly. Inside the shuttle, tension was high. Crew members gripped chairs, sweat on their brows. Jack's face was calm, almost serene. He seemed untouchable. One crew member whispered, "He knows no fear. How can he be so calm?" Another replied, "It is not fear, it is understanding. He sees the world differently." The shuttle emerged from the asteroid belt unscathed. The pursuing ships had lost cohesion. Jack used the confusion to plot a course toward a nearby planet known for its foggy atmosphere. It would hide them from scans long enough to find safe landing. He signaled the crew to prepare for atmospheric entry. As they descended, the dense fog and clouds distorted the sensors of the Dominion ships. They could see only shadows, false shapes. Jack guided the shuttle carefully, using natural landmarks to navigate. The crew held their breath as the shuttle shook with turbulence. Every calculation, every movement had to be precise. Finally, they touched down on a rough plateau. Jack powered down the engines, letting the fog cover the shuttle. Outside, the landscape was harsh but protective. Alien sensors struggled to locate them. For now, they were safe. Jack led the crew out cautiously. They moved quietly across the rocky ground, keeping low. Every sound could give them away. They relied on simple tools and instincts to avoid patrols. Even the smallest misstep could be deadly, but Jack had taught them patience. Observation. Timing. Night fell. The Dominion ships still searched the area above. Red lights and scanning beams cut through the fog. Jack watched from a ridge. He could see the patterns forming in their search. They followed routines, predictable routines. His eyes narrowed. Tomorrow would be the next challenge, but for now they were alive. Around the campfire they set using scavenged materials, the crew finally allowed themselves a moment of relief. They spoke softly, recounting what had happened. Every story included Jack's calm face, the precise shots, the quiet steps, and the revolvers that seemed almost magical in his hands. He sat slightly apart, sharpening the edges of his revolvers, eyes reflecting the firelight, thinking ahead. Even in this quiet, Jack's mind moved fast. He knew the Dominion would not forget. They would adapt. They would come again, stronger, faster, more clever. But he had already learned their weaknesses, their fear, their reliance on pattern and order, and he would be ready. As the night deepened, Jack watched the fog swirl around the plateau. Stars glimmered above, distant and cold. The human mind, simple yet unpredictable, had already taught the Dominion that rules could be broken, that doctrine could fail. And Jack knew this was only the beginning. The universe was wide, full of dangers, and he would face them all, revolvers ready, calm, and precise. Somewhere far above, the Dominion ships continued scanning. Their commander still stared at the recordings. Doctrine could not explain the human, and failure had become real. Fear was seeping into their perfect structure. Jack's path was unpredictable. His mind moved beyond algorithms. And one human with 2 revolvers had already proven that nothing in their empire was safe from unpredictability and courage. The foggy plateau was quiet, but Jack knew it would not stay that way for long. The Dominion would not accept failure, and they were clever. He had to think ahead, plan carefully, and move faster than anyone expected. He studied the maps and patterns of the enemy from memory. The shuttle, hidden in the rocks and mist, provided only temporary safety. Tomorrow, the real challenge would begin. He gathered the crew in the dim light before dawn. The humans were tired, anxious, but ready. Jack gave simple instructions, his voice calm. He assigned lookout positions, escape routes, and signals. The crew trusted him completely now. Fear had not disappeared, but it was manageable, guided by his experience. Outside, the Dominion ship still orbited, scanning. Jack had anticipated this. Their patterns were predictable, even in chaos. They relied on algorithms and timing. They were fast, yes, but rigid. Jack smiled faintly. That rigidity was their weakness. As the sun rose, the humans moved carefully. Jack led them through rocky paths using natural cover, low visibility, and misdirection. They avoided detection, but the tension remained high. Every step could be observed. Every sound could give them away. The plan was simple but risky. Jack would create a diversion, drawing the elite units away from the main escape route. The crew would then make their way to a hidden canyon, a place he had spotted from shuttle scans where they could wait safely. The human mind, adaptable and creative, thrived in unpredictability. Jack took his position near the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley. He set up small traps using simple tools and debris from the planet. When the Dominion soldiers arrived, they would not expect movement from such a primitive species. He loaded his revolvers, checked the barrels, and waited. Patience was critical. Minutes passed. Then movement appeared. Elite units descended in formation. They were disciplined, armored, and confident. They scanned carefully, but the fog played to Jack's advantage. He did not move yet. He studied their timing, watching the gaps, the pauses, the micro-patterns. Suddenly, he fired. A single shot rang out. One soldier fell, disrupting the formation. Another shot, precise and controlled, took down a second. Chaos rippled through the squad. The soldiers hesitated, unsure of the source. Doctrine demanded cohesion, but the human had already broken it. Jack moved like a shadow, exploiting gaps, disappearing behind rocks and mounds. The diversion worked. The elite unit split, following the illusion of multiple humans. Jack's traps triggered small explosions, sparks, and falling rocks. The soldiers' attention divided further. They were disciplined but not adaptable to human unpredictability. They had never faced an opponent who could think outside doctrine. Fear crept into their ranks. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew advanced toward the canyon. Jack signaled silently, using hand gestures, lights, and subtle movements. They moved carefully, crouched and quiet. Every obstacle was considered, every path calculated. Jack's calm presence guided them. One misstep occurred when a young crew member stumbled on a rock. A soldier nearby noticed. Jack fired a quick shot, hitting a sensor, sending sparks and smoke into the air. The soldier froze, confused. The young human caught his footing and they continued without being seen. In the canyon, the crew reached temporary safety. Jack joined them, still calm, still analyzing. He knew the Dominion would not give up. They would adapt, regroup, and send more soldiers. The human mind thrived in such conditions, learning, anticipating, and adjusting. Jack studied the next moves. The Dominion's commander would likely deploy heavier units, faster ships, and advanced scanning devices. They would try to predict his patterns, but predictability was a human weakness, not his own. He had no pattern, only adaptability and careful observation. The crew rested briefly, using the time to recover energy and assess supplies. They shared quiet conversations, recounting what had happened. Every story highlighted Jack's calm precision, his control over fear, and his understanding of the enemy. He listened, nodded occasionally, but focused on planning the next stage. By late afternoon, the Dominion sent reinforcements. Larger armored units moved across the plateau. They followed predicted paths, relying on patterns from previous failures. Jack observed from a hidden ridge. He noticed the gaps, the assumptions, the reliance on doctrine. It was all there, waiting for a human mind to exploit. Jack's plan was simple: delay and disrupt, not destroy. He wanted to weaken their formation, create confusion, and allow the crew to escape to a safe location. He used the revolvers sparingly, precise shots to distract or disable key enemies. The soldiers, confused by unpredictable moves, could not coordinate effectively. As the battle unfolded, Jack moved with silent steps, using shadows, rocks, and small explosives. He forced the elite units to scatter, miscalculate, and hesitate. His calmness contrasted with the chaos around him. Every misstep by the enemy amplified the advantage of one human with simple weapons and keen mind. At one point, a heavy armored soldier approached, wielding a massive energy blade. Jack did not panic. He moved around obstacles, used the terrain, and fired two precise shots. The soldier fell and the remaining troops hesitated. Fear spread further. Doctrine could not help them now. The crew continued moving, following Jack's signals. They used narrow canyons, high rocks, and natural cover to hide. The shuttle was unreachable for now, but safety lay ahead in a cave system he had scouted. Every step brought them closer. Even as darkness fell, Jack remained alert. He knew the Dominion would not stop. They would continue to search, escalate tactics, and attempt to corner them. But the human advantage was clear. Adaptability, observation, and unpredictability had already proven stronger than strict doctrine and rigid patterns. Finally, the crew reached the cave entrance. They entered quietly, using the shadows to conceal themselves. Jack checked all angles, ensuring no one followed. The fog and rocks provided additional cover. For now, they were safe. Jack lowered his revolvers, though he kept them ready. He checked each crew member. They were tired, bruised, and scared, but alive. He had led them through danger using patience, strategy, and precise action. Doctrine had failed again, proving that one human could overcome structured armies with simple tools and careful thinking. The night was quiet. The stars glimmered faintly above the fog. Jack sat near the entrance of the cave, watching, thinking. Tomorrow would bring new dangers, but the human mind had already won once, and it could do so again. He cleaned his revolvers slowly, each movement calm and methodical, preparing for the next challenge that would come from the Dominion or any other force in the vastness of space. The cave was quiet, but Jack knew it was only temporary. The Dominion would not accept failure. Their forces were regrouping, repairing, and planning. Doctrine demanded action. They would strike again, stronger, more precise. Jack studied the maps and the starfield on a small portable console. The humans around him were tired but determined. They trusted him completely, knowing that their survival depended on his calm mind and careful planning. Outside, the Dominion deployed drones and faster ships, scanning every nearby system. They wanted to find the humans, capture or destroy them, and erase the embarrassment of their previous failures. But one human with two old revolvers had already proven that unpredictability could overcome doctrine. Their algorithms could not calculate courage, creativity, or patience. Jack organized the crew for the next stage. They would leave the cave under the cover of darkness, moving toward a hidden valley where they could repair the shuttle and plan further escape. Simple tools, basic weapons, and careful observation would guide them. Every movement was deliberate, every pause intentional. Jack led quietly, signaling with hand gestures, whispers, and subtle nods. As they moved, Jack noticed changes in the alien patrols. They were cautious, hesitant, but still dangerous. They had learned from previous mistakes, adjusting their formation slightly, deploying drones differently. Jack smiled faintly. Learning was good, but it was not enough to predict a human mind. A small unit of armored soldiers appeared ahead, scanning for movement. Jack crouched behind a boulder, assessing the situation. He whispered instructions to the crew, one to the left, one to the right, others to stay low and quiet. He would draw the attention of the soldiers with precise shots. His revolvers, simple yet deadly, would guide the enemy's movements. The first shot echoed, striking a sensor. Sparks flew, and one soldier turned sharply. Another shot hit a communication device, causing confusion. The soldiers hesitated, trying to regroup. Jack moved silently, firing two more precise shots. Fear spread. Discipline faltered. Doctrine failed once again. The crew followed his lead, moving carefully through rocks and shadows. One misstep was quickly corrected by Jack's signals. The humans began to feel confident, understanding the value of patience, timing, and observation. Even the young members, previously timid, now moved with a cautious bravery that only Jack's calm guidance could inspire. They reached the hidden valley near the remains of an old research outpost. It was abandoned, overgrown, but offered cover. Jack led the crew in setting up temporary defenses, using simple traps and environmental obstacles. He checked every angle, every approach, knowing the Dominion would not give up. Their commander would send more forces, more elite soldiers, more drones. The human mind thrived in such situations, using the enemy's assumptions against them. While the crew rested briefly, Jack prepared for the inevitable assault. He cleaned his revolvers, checking the barrels, loading bullets carefully. Each movement was calm, deliberate, precise. His mind calculated enemy movements, probable paths, and weak points. He understood the patterns of the Dominion, but he knew his advantage lay in unpredictability. Night fell, and the Dominion arrived. Red lights cut through the darkness, scanning for heat and movement. Heavy soldiers advanced cautiously, drones hovering above, sensors scanning. Jack took position on a high ridge, revolvers ready. The first shot struck a drone, causing it to crash. Another shot disabled a soldier's communication device. Chaos rippled through the alien forces. Fear grew. The elite units tried to advance in formation, but the human had already broken their discipline. Jack moved with silent steps, using shadows, rocks, and small explosives to separate groups. Soldiers stumbled, miscalculated, and fell into traps. One by one, they were forced to retreat, regroup, and hesitate. Doctrine was powerless against unpredictability. The crew moved under his guidance, carefully navigating the valley, avoiding patrols, and using natural cover. They reached the old shuttle, hidden under a tarp and rocks. Jack signaled them to prepare for takeoff. Engines started quietly, systems checked, and the shuttle lifted off, moving through the darkness. Pursuing ships detected them too late. The human mind, combined with careful planning, had created the advantage they needed. The Dominion commander, observing from orbit, was furious. One human had repeatedly defeated his best soldiers, broken Doctrine, and escaped. He could not understand it. Doctrine relied on order, patterns, and logic. Humanity had none of these limits. Creativity, courage, and patience had triumphed over perfect military systems. Jack piloted the shuttle through dense asteroid fields, using unpredictable routes and natural cover. The crew was quiet but alert, following his lead. He guided them to a remote star system, uninhabited and safe for now. Every movement, every decision was calculated, precise, yet unpredictable to any observer. The human advantage was clear. Adaptability, not raw strength, controlled the outcome. Finally, they reached a hidden planet, a quiet place to recover, repair, and rest. Jack guided the shuttle down to the surface. Engines powered down, systems cooled. The humans disembarked cautiously, aware of the still present threat but relieved. They were alive. They were safe for now. Jack cleaned his revolvers, checking every detail, preparing for the next encounter. The crew watched him silently, understanding that survival depended not just on weapons or numbers, but on observation, calmness, and cleverness. Humanity had already proven it could overcome the Dominion, one unpredictable action at a time. Above them, the Dominion ships hovered briefly before retreating. Their commanders' reports noted the failures, confusion, and chaos caused by one human. Doctrine had collapsed under creativity. Fear had entered their ranks. And the memory of a small human with 2 old revolvers would not be forgotten. Jack watched the stars, calm and ready. The universe was vast, full of dangers and unknowns, but the human mind was adaptable, patient, and precise. He had led his crew through impossible odds, broken an entire empire's combat doctrine, and survived. Revolvers ready, mind alert, and calm determination in his heart, he prepared for whatever the stars would bring next.